Game one is in the books, and that was a tale of two games and two successes for both teams, even though the Jets come out of this one as winners of 5-3 against St. Louis Blues. You might be wondering, how can this be successful for both teams? Well, stick around all the way to the end of the video. We're going to break down every goal, every hit, every highlight, the reasons why the Jets closed out this game, but the reasons why St. Louis comes away successful as well, too. You don't want to miss this one. Let's get into it. The simple strategy for the St. Louis Blues in this one was to hit, use their physicality, play playoff hockey, and take away the middle from the Winnipeg Jets, and they were very successful doing that for the first two periods. The Jets were on the heels. The Blues were the better team. They threw 53 hits by the end of this game. They blocked everything in sight, and until that third period, it really looked like the Jets were going to take the big L in this game. The Jet strategy was simple. Play as the Winnipeg Jets play, but boy, did it take a long time for the Jets to break through in that. My goodness. The Winnipeg Jets were outplayed, arguably, for the first two periods of the game. I think they were outplayed. I really do think they were on their heels. It was looking bleak for a minute, but the Jets needed to stay patient with it. They talked about it in the locker room. They needed to stay patient going into this game, and eventually their chances would come, and they would. For any of you that like to watch boxing, UFC, or any type of fights, the team or the fighter with the more skill, the longer they hang around in a game, the closer the game is, the more that skill is eventually going to break through, and you're going to put pucks in the back of the net. And that's exactly what happened to Winnipeg in the third period, getting them the win. They stayed patient, they stayed with their game, and little chances that the Blues took away by inches through hits, through stick work, and through just overall veteran presence. Eventually, it wasn't enough to hold off the speedy Winnipeg Jets as they buried their fourth goal and an empty netter. Goal number one here comes from Robert Thomas, and right now what I'm looking at, I don't see anything wrong. The Jets have sealed off half of the ice. All of their players right now are between the net and the Blues players. There are no danger at this situation right now for the Jets on this PK. As that puck moves over to the right side, though, we see a little bit of a stick check here, which pokes the puck out into this blue area, and then it's the job of all of the forecheckers to go. Send three. It's at this point in time you're looking to cause a 3-on-3 and get that puck out of the zone. And this is a really good strategy. As soon as we see those backs in the bobbles, we realize that the Jets were able to cause a 2-on-2 down here. And in the NHL and in hockey, if you can make those miracle passes through two players like this on the power play, that's fine. It's going to go in the back of your net, or a team's going to have a chance. And that's exactly what happens here. Robert Thomas rips it top corner. Now, look, you might sit there and think that's a little bit too aggressive, or that's on the penalty killers, or why would you give up the middle of the ice like that? That's just really good tactical hockey. That's how penalty kills are run in the NHL today. That's how the Jets run it. That's how every team runs it. You get aggressive. You see a back, you see a bobble. You send every player you can after that puck. You got to win the puck battles in order to turn it over. Statistically speaking, it's the correct play. Sometimes they get through. Sometimes they get through to elite players like Robert Thomas, and they end up burying it. I personally believe it was an overall great goal, but an absolutely weak call from the referees going into that one. I don't think Schenn did anything wrong. I think it was playoff hockey in front of the net, but that is okay. There's going to be a whole bunch of no calls and then a whole bunch of bad calls. That's the way the playoffs rolls. And the Jets would rebound and actually capitalize on a power play of their own on what I also think was a weak call against the Blues. The Jets are running something I haven't seen here in a while. It's a whole half zone overload. You have almost 5 players on the left side of the ice. This is something that hasn't been pulled out of the hat, but with all the motion and movement on power plays these days, I'm not surprised the President's Trophy winners pulled this off. The puck ends up going down from high to low. It's Kyle Connor who's going to carry it in. And now we see the progress of this overload. We have 4 guys down low playing against 4 St. Louis Blues. As that puck goes from high to low, Kyle Connor has 2 options. He can go ahead and hit Mark Scheifele down low. He can hit Josh Morrissey up high. Connor, in this sense, chooses both. Quick regroup over here, back up to Josh Morrissey. Now we see the overload in full effect. We have all 5 players on the left side of the ice. Morrissey's going to make a quick play right back down to Kyle Connor here. And as Kyle Connor comes down and finds Mark Scheifele, you see 3 St. Louis Blues caught up high. Now, Scheifele from this place has 2 places he can put the puck. And he tries to do it, but a quick little stick gets in there. It's unfortunate. It rides up the stick of the St. Louis player and it finds the back of the net. Hey, hockey's a lucky game. You take those bounces where you can get them, but there was a purposeful play and pass coming through there. Just a little bit of stick on puck ends up putting it in over Jordan Binnington's shoulder. Goal number 3 is just big guys doing big guy things, and a beautiful first NHL goal by Jarrett Anderson-Dolan. Logan Stanley, who quietly has a good game, just catapults one here that's going to end up bouncing off the wall and coming back to Luke Schenn up high. And from here, it's Luke Schenn. When we go ahead and we move the puck from low to high, like we just saw here, this takes away the goalie's number one attribute, which is his eyes. And then what we need to do is get two players in on front of the net. So 1, 2, stack the low slot, stack the high slot. This snapshot actually double redirects. It hits Barron and then it hits Jarrett, beating Binnington. He had no chance on that goal. You know, I really love the game I saw from Logan Stanley and from Luke Schenn. They played within themselves. There were a lot of Winnipeg Jets that played within themselves, especially in the first two periods when things weren't going great for line one and specifically line two for Winnipeg. Line two for Winnipeg was non-existent until later on in the game. But Stanley kept it simple, no mistakes. Luke Schenn, he's always solid, keeps it simple. And guys like Barron, man, what an awesome tip by him and what a fantastic experience for the AHL call-up. Jarrett, Anderson-Dolan to put that puck in the net. Tying it up is St. Louis, and the Jets get caught running around here. What you see is a quick little puck that boots out to the top. And when your player goes down like Iafallo does here, you have to get other guys out to the top. You can't just keep three down low like Winnipeg does. You also see an exhausted Josh Morrissey caught at the end of his shift in a battle with Sundqvist. Watch Josh Morrissey here tie up and hold the stick of Sundqvist so you can see it. This is really not a bad play by a guy who's exhausted, but he ends up getting beat as Sundqvist gets loose and puts it in the back of the net. Here's where the play breaks down for me, though. This is too much of a gap. Again, this isn't on the player. He got tripped up going in. We need other players to go in here and start causing a 2-on-1. There are three Jets who have an option. Josh Morrissey is not one of those options. Any one of those three Winnipeg Jets, they need to get out there and start creating 2-on-1s. You need to leave two down low. You need to get two up high and a third one up here because this game on defense is all about outnumbering. And that's what I meant by the physicality of St. Louis was taking a toll on Winnipeg. They were steps behind. They were exhausted. They were caught on long changes. It ends up causing you to make bad decisions and you even get tripped up. Could it have been a penalty? Absolutely, but it's the playoffs. We have no idea what's going to be called, when, where, why. The consistency is going to be zero. For both teams, it's even Steven. The Blues take advantage, made it 2-2. Jordan Kyrou with a nifty little zone entry right here. And he's going to lengthen and widen this zone, and that's going to be huge because it's going to get 44 caught running around. As that puck rims around the wall, I want you to watch Josh Morrissey and the path he takes. He unfortunately makes a bad decision here following in behind the net. I know he's staying with his man, but the puck has now gone to the top of the circle. And we're about to get into the standard 1-3-1. The two squares are the 1, the three circles are the 3. We widen that puck from Falk all the way over here to Kyrou, which is enough of an angle change on Connor Hellebuyck to cause an absolute problem. And look what happens. Because Josh Morrissey was caught, now we have him having to square up to the shot. So he leaves his man anyway. There's nothing he can do. Josh Morrissey now has to go to the shooter. And we have three other Jets. So we got Tanev, we got Nemestikov, and we got Josh Morrissey unable to get into the shooting lane. The Blues do this so well. Kyrou steps in, buries it top corner. On penalty kills, you still have to cause 2-on-1s. Your whole goal is to cut the ice into quarters, cause 2-on-1s to create turnovers. The goal on offense, the Blues do it so well there, is to get a zone entry, lengthen and widen the zone, get into your 1-3-1, and find those shooters like Jordan Kyrou making that wide zone pass in order to put the puck in the net and catch elite players like Josh Morrissey chasing, which they did. I don't think Morrissey had a great 2 periods. I don't think Morrissey had a great game. There's a lot more from Josh Morrissey in the tank. I'm not sure if he was hurt. I'm not sure if he was injured, tired, nervous, or what happened because the Blues absolutely hammered him and the rest of the Jets with bone-crunching hits in the first period. He really looked off his game tonight, but it's okay. You got to let your Stallions play. He did. The Jets end up picking up the win, but good job on St. Louis. This is starting to build on the narrative why I thought it still was a successful game, even in a loss for the St. Louis Blues. But that would be it for the night for the Blues. Mark Scheifele here is going to make a beautiful zone entry pass to Kyle Connor. And finally, the zone entry works for Winnipeg for line 1. These bump passes were getting intercepted all night. And even one more time, great little stick on puck there by St. Louis. Good job by Parayko. Connor has to put it into the corner on a little bit of a dump in. And this was tough for Winnipeg all night. They are keen on zone entry and keeping puck possession and making those tape-to-tape passes, but St. Louis just took it away. And once again, another stick on puck by Parayko. It was really feeling like this play was going to break down. But no, the Winnipeg Jets hang on to the puck, and I want you to watch 55 Parayko. Now, this isn't a good decision or a bad decision. It's just a decision. As Mark Scheifele enters into the puck over here, Colton Parayko is caught on the backside of the post. He's not between his man and the puck. Iafallo has done a great job separating here. Look at all this gap. The puck, all it has to do is bump out here from Mark Scheifele, and it ends up in the back of the net. Colton Parayko is caught reaching. And you can make up a lot of things as a big man here with that reach. You saw that little stick reach for a second, but Iafallo does enough to keep it away from him and puts it in through Binnington to tie the game. Now, I don't like when defensemen get on the side of the puck that Parayko did, but who am I to tell him that? He's a big man. He's got that reach. I understand why he goes to the other post. He doesn't want the reverse to come back and bite him in the butt in the back door. But at the end of the day, you got to get between your man and the puck. He just wasn't between Iafallo, and Iafallo did a great job gapping up. And even though Parayko had great stick on puck, taking that puck away from Connor, that regroup and line one finally breaks through and puts in a goal on a really, really nice cycle. So before we get into the final 2 minutes and we go ahead and show you that goal, I want to show you this beautiful play. This is a set play the Jets have been running all year. You go high to the point, and then you either come across here to Kyle Connor, or you go D to D, and he goes over to Kyle Connor. Now in the playbook, it happens to be Kyle Connor they're talking about. This ends up being Mark Scheifele, but this is a very set play from Winnipeg. And faceoffs are critical. St. Louis has killed Winnipeg in the draw all night, but Winnipeg wins it when it matters. You bump it right over here to your winger, who's going to bump it up to your defenseman, who's then going to go ahead and bump it over to Scheifele, who is going to he's going to bump it over to Morrissey. He's going to bump it over to Morrissey, who is then going to find Mark Scheifele. We see that puck scoot out here. Morrissey picks up that puck, and now take a look at what we saw from that playbook. Mark Scheifele is going to fill in up here in that J-hook, and then he is going to feed it over to Kyle Connor. So it's just an exchange of roles. Instead of Connor being the shooter and the feeder, it ends up being Scheifele. Puck goes down to Mark. Mark makes that beautiful little J-hook. We're going to end up crossing the Royal Road. For any of those who new to this game, the Royal Road is an imaginary center line over the middle of the ice. You cross that road and you hit a 40 goal scorer like Kyle Connor, looking like Brett Hull down on one knee with a one-timer, and he's going to put that puck in the back of the net almost every time. And I say almost every time because my brother caught this one for me. He ends up putting it a foot higher than he did last time. So where the square is where he scores. But Binnington made a save here on the circle earlier on Kyle Connor, almost the exact same play. I could not believe Connor put it in because he didn't get it high enough. Couple inches more like that, it goes in the back of the net, and you can see where his glove is there. It's right in the spot he made the save earlier in the game. And that's it. The Winnipeg Jets skill finally breaks through. Their set plays finally break through. And by the way, if you want to see that same playbook for the rest of the playoffs, head over to my link down below. Pick up a copy of Hockey Tactics 2025 by AHL coach Jack Hahn. He has every single team in this book. You can see every single play that was ever made. I'm going to scroll quick because you're going to have to go through and buy the book yourself, but it is an amazing pickup, and all proceeds go to support this channel. So the Jets who played well, it was really a story of the third line, the fourth line, and the back end pairing of the D for me in the first two periods. Tanev was 10 out of 10 in his role. Stanley, more than good enough, more than serviceable. Hard on him a lot. Schenn, excellent. Anderson-Dolan, excellent. Barron, excellent. Samberg, +2, 3 shots, absolutely excellent. Iafallo, top tier effort on that first line. 1 goal, +2, 3 shots, lots of hits. 8 boards today, almost lost his chicklets a few times, really got in there. Nice player. For the Blues, Robert Thomas, absolute game breaker. And then the Jordans, Jordan Binnington, Jordan Kyrou, 10 out of 10 game from both those guys. Buchnevich with huge hits. And then Neighbors, Walker, and Schenn, 7 hits, 9 hits, just monsters out there. The Blues were successful in laying those big hits. That is going to pay off if this series goes on long. The Jets want to end this one quick. You got to get out if you're the Jets in 4 or 5 because taking 60 hits a game is going to add up for the second, third round, and even this round if you're Winnipeg. If you're the Blues, all you're trying to do is drag them into deep water and drown them, and it was very successful tonight. You slowed them down for 2 periods. The Jets are going to go home feeling it. They can't afford another injury, so top-tier game by both teams out there, and Jordan Binnington was this close to being Binnington and completely stealing that one. Good job by the Jets settling it down. Connor Hellebuyck, those goals that came in, nobody should be on him for that. Those were shooter shots in perfect position. Those were really tough to stop. Those were in top corner. No goalie in the world is going to stop it, not even the best one in the world. Jordan Binnington stole one tonight from Kyle Connor, but Kyle Connor ends up finding it, adjusting that sniper scope just a bit, and the Jets put it in. We'll catch you guys here for game 2. Like, subscribe. We'll see you later.